Hey, welcome back to the channel, my fellow weather junkies. I'm your host, meteorologist Greg Majeski, your trusted weather source, bringing you the weather without all that social media hype. Here on your Friday, March 7th, 2025. Let's go and take a look at what we're tracking here for today. As we're going to talk about the next big storm. You know, we just got done with that most recent big monster storm, and it looks like we got another one in the cards, and maybe even a potential second. We'll talk about that in detail here in a second. And with that next storm, we're talking about a potential blizzard, as well as severe weather once again in the cards for the middle of the country and heading into the southeast. We'll show you the timeline on that as well. And then we're also going to talk about, because of the more active weather pattern, we're talking about some pretty decent heavy snows out in the western areas in the Rocky Mountains and out into California. We'll take a look at those latest forecasts as well. Now, before we get going, first I want to say thank you to the new subscribers here on the channel. And if you've not yet decided to join us just yet, please do so. Hit that subscribe button, that bottom right-hand corner, I should say. Please leave me a comment down below. Give me a thumbs up. It does help with that YouTube algorithm. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the big picture here on the satellite imagery. We've got some little weak system here across the middle of the country here, spreading some snows up into Iowa and some rains down south of there. We got an exiting system up there into the northeast, and we got another system out here in the Rocky Mountains as well, and a little low here kind of spinning across Southern California, moving into Arizona. Looks like the northwest right now is looking pretty quiet. So looking at the big picture, again, we've got a few of these little winter weather advisories, winter storm warnings there in the pink. You see a little track there of some of this winter weather coming into Iowa here for this morning. Still a bit breezy with that exiting big low pressure system up there in the areas of the northeast. So looking at our surface map right now here across the country, again, we've got some of the snows here across portions of Iowa. We got the rains here south of there, even coming down into Arkansas. A little bit of snows out here. Here's that little upper level disturbance we're going to watch here, kind of ejecting out of areas of Arizona and to New Mexico. This will be coming in across the southern tier here in the days ahead. So let's go take a closer look at some of this snow that's falling across portions of Des Moines here for this morning. Pretty good heavy snows here up near the Ames area into Marshalltown. I'm going to leave a couple 3 or 4 inches into this area with this little storm that's moving on through here for right now. Now, we're also going to be watching some thunderstorms here for the weekend. There is a marginal risk for severe weather for the weekend, so we do want to break that down for you. Nothing that's going to be too big a deal, but we do have a storm system we're going to watch here for this upcoming weekend. So first, we're going to take a look here at your day one outlook. We're just kind of looking at a couple areas there across the four corners. That's that upper level disturbance I just showed you there. That'll set up a few thunderstorms there across Arizona and New Mexico, and a little pocket out here into Texas. So when we go into day two, going into your Saturday, that's when things will kind of change a little bit here. So we're going to watch this very closely, as we'll see this mostly right along the Gulf Coast. So we're talking about there from basically the Florida Panhandle, southern Alabama, back over toward Texas, and a big chunk of Louisiana with this. Again, not expecting a major outbreak with this, but we will see a low tornado risk with this. We're running about 2%, generally in that area there in green, as well as a high wind risk, also covering generally the same area. So just a few isolated severe thunderstorms, not out of the question in those areas. Along with that, we do have a little bit of heavy rain threat, not so much for today. Today is going to stay on the quiet side, but we do got a couple of pockets we'll have to watch there for the weekend. Again, with a few of those thunderstorms there along the Gulf Coast. You see that area there right along the Florida Panhandle, extreme south Georgia, Alabama. Might see some heavy flooding areas there, potentially. Nothing too big. We're talking marginal. And then this moves on over to the east here, going into your Sunday here across southeast Georgia and parts of Florida as well. So we're going to have to really talk about what's coming at us. We got a very active weather pattern, folks. We've been talking about this for a couple days, and nothing really has changed my mindset on this. So we're going to drop down to the 500 millibar level. It's a little bit easier to kind of see these storm systems a little bit on the southern end of the jet stream, shall we say. So we're going to watch this first little ejection come out. This is the first one here for the weekend. This one will kind of traverse this way as we go into this upcoming weekend, into Saturday and Sunday. So it's going to move across the south. You see it kind of moving in across the southeast. So it's going to remain a bit unsettled with this upper level disturbance tracking right through here, right through Saturday, Sunday, and into early Monday as that one ejects. Then we got another one that's tracking in behind it. This piece of energy back here, we'll have to watch this one as well. This will be a fairly weak one. This one will continue to move on off to the east as well. And this will bring in some rain, maybe a few rumbles of thunder going into Thursday. It's this next big trough here coming in here into California. That's the one we got to watch here for this end of next week, going into the following weekend, going into Friday and Saturday. So we're talking about the 14th going into the 15th here, as this big monster gets warmed up once again. So we're looking at a very intense low here. Look at this jet, look at this wind energy at the 500 millibar area. That is very, very strong. It's also got a negative tilt with us as well. So what that means is we're going to have a tremendous amount of wind shear and dynamics with this. A lot of spin in the atmosphere. At this time of year, it's always a question of how much instability, how much heat are we going to get on the southern end of this thing as this thing pulls on out. How much warmth are we going to get out ahead of it to help support any kind of severe weather. I think we're going to see that with this. And then, of course, on the back side of this low, we'll have to deal with blizzard conditions there across portions of the Dakotas with this system going in toward the 15th of March. Now, this one pulls on out, pushes off to the east. Obviously, we'll have to watch whatever squall line comes in across the southeast with that as well going into the weekend. This will move on off toward the east, and then it settles down for a few days. Again, this is a long-range extension here beyond the 15th. So at least here on the 15th, that's about, 8 days out. That's not too bad. But even beyond that, we're kind of speculating at this point. But it does look pretty active. We get another one of these big troughs kicking out of the west once again, and it's going to kick on out here going in toward the 21st, and that too could be another big monster system as this kicks up into Canada once again looking at the potential for some more active severe weather here across the central portion of the country heading toward the 21st. So again, still maintaining a very active weather pattern here across the country. Now we can kind of illustrate this with the pressure anomaly map. Again, you look at the blues and the greens, you're looking at intense low pressures. Oranges and reds, that's typically your high pressure zones here. So let me back this up once again. I want to show you this here. I was looking at this a while ago. So again, you can clearly see where these big storms really kick up. Very nice on this little feature maps here. So again, we're going to watch this next big storm system here as we go into the 14th and 15th. Watch this thing really fire up. Boom, there it shows up like a big Christmas tree. 978 millibars as this thing going to track up this way. Once again, going in toward the 15th of the month, this thing gets really cranking, goes right up into Canada, and then we get a little bit of a break. You get a little bit of high pressure across the southern tier. Here's another disturbance here riding along the areas of the Great Lakes, going in toward the 19th, and then we'll watch that next one coming in behind it. Here's another one, boom, right there, going in toward the 21st. So we're right here on the long-range models on the European. We're tracking not one but two potential monster storms. What's my definition of a monster storm? Well, this one should just give you an example. This was 974 millibars. That's like a Category 2 hurricane. The other one was also 978, also Category 2 hurricane. So yeah, that meets my definition of a potential monster storm, that's for sure, with these two storm systems. So let's go ahead and break down the short-term forecast. Let's go look at the high-resolution data here over the next day and a half, kind of take you into the weekend. So we're watching this system here tracking into the northeast. We got this system here across the southwest. This one was the one that'll be tracking across the south. It's also the one responsible for some marginal severe weather there along the Gulf Coast. So let's go ahead and track this throughout the day on your Friday. You can watch that timestamp there in that upper right-hand corner there as we kind of watch this system pull on in to the northeast a little bit going into your Friday and Saturday. So it goes out of the Ohio River Valley and going straight into the northeast. Again, not too big a deal. A little bit of snow, a little bit of rain with this. Seeing the moisture coming back here across the south as this upper level low starts to track on out this way going into your Saturday morning. So this is going into your Saturday. There's your Saturday. We'll see that low kick on out. Look at the snows there. Got a nice little burst of snow across portions of Texas and watching some rain there across Oklahoma. Again, it's an upper level low, so it's got a cold core with it. So that's going to drag that snow there across portions of Oklahoma. And we'll see the rains increase across the southeast as we go throughout the day on Saturday and going into Saturday night. So Sunday across areas of Alabama and Georgia, definitely looking a little bit on the wet side as well as the Florida Panhandle. So let's go ahead and look at the big picture here. We're going to take this out on the European. So we got this one. This is what we're tracking here going into Sunday morning. Got the rains here. Here's our upper level low, little weak one right there. Most of the country is not looking bad. It's just that area there across the southeast we'll have to watch for the weekend. Then we're looking all right, pretty quiet going into Monday and Tuesday. We're going to watch this next system coming here off the west coast. So as that moves on off toward the east, we'll watch that one. That's going to be a weak one across the south. So we'll see that going into Thursday. Got a little rain here. Here's a weak system into the northeast. And then here's that bad boy we got to watch here on the west coast going into the following weekend. So as this goes forward here, there it gets cranking. Again, as it pulls on out, it's sitting at 974, I think it says there, 978 millibars. So again, we're looking at blizzard conditions up here across areas of the Dakotas. And then we'll watch this area as we watch thunderstorms start to erupt out ahead of this main low. So we get thunderstorms there from Illinois down to the Gulf Coast. Again, severe in the cards for that system as this pushes off toward the east. We get a quick cold shot across the southeast. And then we looks like we quiet out going into Tuesday and Wednesday of the following week, going into the 18th and 19th. And then we'll see if we get that next big storm system to kick on out to the 20th, 21st. There's another one here. Boom. As this one bottoms out, we'll see 974. We'll watch for some more severe weather here, potential in the middle of the country with that next system. So we got a few of these to watch. And of course, they'll change from day to day. They're going to vary a little bit. But the one thing's been pretty consistent is that one on the 14th and 15th. That window still looking like a prime area for a big weather day on that day. Let's go ahead and talk about the precipitation. Let's take you through the weekend first. Over the next 72 hours, we'll take you right through there. So again, rainy here across the southeast. Looks like the heaviest rain's down across the Florida Panhandle there. Some of that will be in the form of snow. We'll show you that here in just a second. And take you out for the 10-day. Take it out to 240, roughly about right there. Look how wet it is across the southeast. Got some pretty heavy rains there. Heavy rains out here into the Pacific Northwest, as well as into California. And we'll take this out to the end of the run for the next 2 weeks to give you an idea of how things are looking. So a lot of the country looking a little bit on the wet side, except for maybe areas down here toward Texas here, South Texas, not seeing a whole lot of activity there. So let's go and talk about the snow. You snow lovers, it's still snow season. We're still in March. So let's take this to the weekend once again, going out for the next 72 hours. Again, we've got a little bit of that snow, got that upper level low. We're going to see a little snow there across portions of the Texas Panhandle and the Oklahoma Panhandle. Some pretty heavy snows here across Arizona as well as into New Mexico. That's that first system. Then we're going to watch this next one. This is where the blizzard comes in here. I'm going to stop it right about there. Again, going through the weekend. We're going to watch this up here. So we're looking at some pretty good heavy snows up there. In fact, let's go take a look at that real quick. Let's look at the amounts up that way. Let me switch this back over to the 12Z there. All right, let's take this on through and watch how much snow is falling into this area. Boom. So we're looking at areas, I'm thinking over a foot of snow here across North Dakota. And it looks like 10 to 12 inches there across portions of South Dakota. So this will probably, again, blizzard conditions, whiteout conditions, because the fact the pressure is so low, the winds are probably gusting up to 50 to 60 miles per hour. Keep in mind, a blizzard, it doesn't necessarily mean feet of snow. It means snow falling and a wind so robust that it's creating whiteout conditions. So that's what your definition of a blizzard is there. All right, so let's go take you out here to the end of the model run here. Again, very, very heavy snows out here across the west. I mean, the west is really going to start piling on their snow totals here over the next 2 weeks. The Sierra Nevada Cascades looking at feet of snow, as well as areas of Colorado into Wyoming, up into Idaho. Some very heavy snows out in the western United States here over the next couple of weeks. That very active storm track. Now, I want to talk about the temperature anomaly map. Here's what I'm seeing here. We're going to see a lot of cold air that's just going to kind of build up here across the west. It's going to stay that. We'll stay relatively mild for the most part here in the west over the east over the next 2 weeks, but we'll occasionally get these intrusions where the battlegrounds are kind of fighting each other. All right? But for overall, over the next couple of weeks, the east looks like it's milder, the west stays colder. So you'll see what I'm talking about here. Again, you'll get these little intrusions, but as we go forward and forward more in time, it's looking colder and colder there in the west. You're seeing more and more blues and greens here, especially going into the following weekend. You see how mild it is here in the east. But when you get these events like this, like the 15th, this is that one big severe weather event we're watching. You got that cold air plowing into this warm air out ahead of it. That's what we look for when we're talking about the spring conditions. So again, early March, mid-March, you're still kind of fighting that instability. But as we get deeper into the spring and it gets warmer, that becomes less and less of an issue. So you see this pushes off toward the east. We get a brief cool down here, like going into the 17th, 18th behind that storm system on the 15th. Then it quickly warms right back up. But the consistency looks like it stays colder out into the west as the little battlegrounds, these little storm systems kick out of the west. So let's go look at the Climate Center, see if they're backing what I'm seeing there. I think they probably are. So here we go. So you see it from the Climate Center. Again, we're cold out here in the west, warm here in the east. Now, occasionally you're going to get some storm systems are going to plow this back for a day or so and then warm right back up again. So this goes from the 12th to the 16th and again 14th to the 20th. Milder in the east, staying below normal here out in the west. So we're going to continue with this pattern of these systems moving on through. And again, we got at least 2 potential monster storms thrown in there as well. One I'm looking a little more, I call moderately confident on going in toward the 14th and 15th of the month. Precipitation-wise, pretty active. Again, we were seeing that little bit of a lull as far as rainfall there across South Texas. They're active here in the southeast, and it's definitely here on the west coast. In the interior mountains, you saw all the heavy snows out here. That trend looks like that continues. This gets a little bit bigger as far as dry across the south central United States and still stays active here in the eastern third of the U.S. So we're in store for a pretty active weather pattern, folks. Again, The weekend, we do have a little bit of severe weather, but nothing that's going to be too big a deal. Don't see a need to be doing any live coverage for that. But the one coming in, going into the middle of the month, that's a different story. So best advice I can give you is keep it tuned right here. I'll keep you updated on how that's going to be looking right now. Again, I still think of potential blizzard. I said it on the last one, and I'm still feeling a little more confident on this one as well. Blizzard, as well as another eruption of severe weather. And it's just, what level are we talking about? Are we talking about just a slight risk, I think enhanced risk, or are we talking about something a little more serious? We really won't know until we get closer to that day. So if you'd like to stay up on the latest updates on these without me going over the top and telling you it's the storm of the century for every one of these, because a lot of YouTubers do that, I don't care for it. So if you'd like to do that, again, please go ahead, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you're alerted on future content. And as always, if you got a comment, have a weather question, please post it down below. I'm more than happy to answer your questions. All right, that's y'all's update here for your Friday. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Be good, stay safe, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.